Hello everybody, we're going to talk about gaming monitors today for the PC and consoles. Mine's about to fail, it's about 4 years old. It should have lasted over 10, but for some reason these ViewSonic monitors don't appear to be that reliable. Now an ideal monitor for online gaming would be a 144Hz 1 millisecond model, which is what this is. That gives me a nice response time and whatnot. So if you're an online gamer, look for something in that category and you should be fine. Most people though, 60 Hz 1 millisecond is fine as well. So anyhow, we're going to look for a new monitor, but there's a few things we need to cover first. First of all, this 4K gaming is incredibly expensive. You need either a 3080 card to run it at a decent frame rate or a 6800 card. Now 3080 is Nvidia, 6800 is AMD, they're roughly equal to each other. You can get away with a 3070 card or a 6700 card AMD one, but you'll be getting less than 60 frames per second on some games. So it's hardly ideal. So we won't be talking about that, but we will cover it. Now, if you want to play 4K gaming or 8K gaming, you need a DisplayPort connection. 4K needs 1.3, that's DisplayPort 1.3. 8K needs DisplayPort 2.0. So just remember that. 1080p gaming and 1440 gaming, that's an HDMI connection. But if you were to use a DisplayPort connection for all of the modes, you'd be fine. So if you go the DisplayPort route, you're covered in all cases. So if you've got a graphics card with a DisplayPort on it and a monitor with a DisplayPort on it, you get a cable, brilliant. If you're just with 1080p and you want to go HDMI, brilliant again, makes no difference. Now let's talk about hertz first. If we were to do like say 144 hertz and we clicked VSync, that would limit the frames per second to 144 frames per second. But it'd save a lot of power. It would keep the card much cooler than it would have been if you just let it run flat out. Because once you get above a certain frames per second, you're not going to notice the difference. For me, it's about 60, maybe 80, right? And it says I don't notice the difference. So if someone said VSync on a 60 Hz monitor on a single player game, I wouldn't really know. I wouldn't spot it. So playing Skyrim and stuff, 60 Hz. Played something online like Fortnite, maybe 144 Hz, But clicking VSync will limit it. But that limits the power, which limits the heat generated by the graphics card, which means your graphics card lasts longer. If you untick VSync, it just goes flat out all the time, uses lots of power, runs up the electricity bill and shortens the life of the card because heat damage builds up over time. Now, if we were to sort of go and pick a monitor, we'd probably, for realistic gaming, for those that aren't super rich, you'd be talking 1080p or 144. Now, usually they come with an HDMI connection or they come with a DisplayPort connection, one of the two. There's a lot of different monitors out there that deal with it. Like I said, the ViewSonic one that I've got is failing now, which is why I'm in the market for a new one. That means that basically, says what we're looking at here is new monitor in the range of, well, I'd say up to about £300 for a 1080p or 1441, and for that I could get a 32 inch. Now there's one here, MSI, 32 inches, 165 hertz curved. That's an MSI one. That's only £200. If you were to go 4K and try and get similar stats, it goes into many hundreds, many thousands sometimes. So we're going to stick with a reasonable 144 Hz because I want the width for making things, and I also want the size so I can got more desk space to put things on. But bear in mind, right, the bigger monitor, right, it doesn't give me more desk space, it just makes the desk space bigger so I can make things a bit smaller and put them around. So it isn't really a bigger space, it just makes it easier to see what's on it if they're made smaller. 4K would literally be more space. But anyhow, I'm going for 144 Hz. Now, we've already discussed ViewSonic, failing after 4 years and it should last 10. So we're not going to go for one of them. Now, Samsung was my previous model, right? They lasted 12 years for me. And I consider that to be quite good. I only got rid of it because quite frankly, the connection didn't connect to modern PCs. It was still functioning after 12 years. Now the Samsung ones here, they've got one here, the T55 32 inch. I mean, Samsung produce good quality monitors, but this one's only a 4 millisecond response time. So it's probably not that brilliant. So let's go back. But what we want really is something with a 1 millisecond response time as a base, as a start. So if I was to just go down here and try and find one that's advertised as 1 millisecond response time and is of a brand I recognise as being something that's going to be reliable, then we're already on a good one, right? So first of all, we want 32 inches. So if I can find the rating, no, there isn't one. But if we go to there, now you've got Samsung, G5. That's an interesting one. We'll use this as an example. In fact, this is a 144 Hz curved monitor, 32 inches, which is what I'm after. Curved is a very natural feeling, by the way. You don't get the feeling on a flat screen. You get the feeling like the edges are moving away from you, further away. When a curved, they're all the same distance. It does actually work. It's quite good. And here we go, we've got a winner straight away. Samsung Odyssey G5 32. I believe they've got to G8 now, so this is quite an old model. But this one here is it's about £280, but it was £350, so it's been reduced. But this one here is a 32-inch LED curved. It does 2560 versus 144 pixels, so that's more wider. That's 1080p. This is what it's talking about. It's the same thing, but a bit wider. 144 Hz, 1 milliseconds, brightness and contrast, blah blah blah. It's got one HDMI port and one display port. Now you can get other things on the back of the monitor, like USB ports and stuff like that. So if you want them, you can go for that. But this here ticks all the boxes. It's got the refresh rate I want, it's got the milliseconds I want, and it's got the screen size I wanted. So for me, I'm talking £300 and I get a monitor that's really big, gives me lots of workspace, and does the kind of hertz I'd need for gaming. And remember, when I'm playing gaming, I'd tick VSync enable to make sure my graphics card runs only at 144 Hz, because it's a waste going beyond that. And even then, it's only really worth it when you're playing games online. So I'd like my hardware to last as long as possible, and ticking that box helps in that department. Of course, if you just want to go lightning fast frame rates, then fine. One of the mistakes people make when they're doing these kind of these setups is they forget that frames per second isn't the be all and end all. Image quality counts, and in the race to get higher frame rates, they forget that, right? So monitors that are good on displaying will lose the benefits of a decent monitor if your frame rate is so high at the expense of image quality. So slower allows you to turn the settings up higher and still maintain the frame rates. Whereas if you just go maxed out, settings on some games, you might not get the higher frame rates anyway. So you'd end up having to reduce the settings to get the frame rates. So it's a game of diminishing returns. But anyway, this is the kind of monitor we want to be looking at right there. A 144 Hz, 1 millisecond monitor of a size that's appropriate to us. Because I'm a mod maker and a creator, a larger monitor suits me best, right? So this would work for me. So looking at this one is actually sold in Argos. The Samsung, which is a brand I would consider to be good when it comes to monitors, with the right specs in the right size, perfect for me, that one. For you, it might be different. Right, but this is basically what we're looking at. If you were to go looking for a monitor for yourself, you've got to ask yourself one thing: are you a gamer or a creator? If you're a gamer, 144 Hz is very important. 1 millisecond is important. If you're a creator, they're less important, because as a creator, you're really working in static images most of the time, or maybe video work. So you don't always get the benefits of having a super gaming monitor when you're just creating. I'm getting the benefits because I'm a gamer as well. So the big screen is for creativity, the hertz is for gaming, and so is the response time. But I think overall, though, I mean, some people go for 2 monitors and forget there's a power draw on that. Your graphics card has to run 2 monitors side by side. That's going to generate heat. It's going to reduce the frames per second on both monitors, and it has its problems. So sometimes just going for a bigger monitor cures the problem overnight. It achieves the same thing, cures the problem, and that's what I'd be doing. Anyway, that's graphics card, that's monitors for you and that lot, and the 4K, 2K, 1K, all that nonsense arguments, and the DisplayPort's explained. So if you've got to the end of this video and you found it useful, click like, leave a comment, tell me something you think I might have missed, correct me if I've been wrong, do it below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.